Good afternoon, everyone. Today I want to talk about something that actually concerns me a little personally. Um, I want to talk about the Democratic Party today. Now, I've been a card member since, I don't know, just say about 1980. I don't know whether it was in 76 or not. I can't really remember. But 76 was the first year I was eligible to vote. But anyway, when I moved back here to Jax, I decided that I was no longer going to be a part of the Democratic Party, and I registered here as an independent. And I've been thinking about that, and I realized that it seems like what I'm doing is really running away from the Democratic Party. And I got to thinking that, that's not something we should be doing as Democrats. Instead, what we should be doing is taking the Democratic Party back. And from whom are we taking the party back? The Socialists. Somewhere along the line, probably about 1960, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe in the 50s, I'm not really sure. But somewhere along the line, the democratic ideals and viewpoints that we held as being ours began being supplanted by socialistic viewpoints that this is what we should now believe in as Democrats, not this. You take John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy knew that the best way to stimulate an economy was to cut taxes. That's not a socialist viewpoint, but that used to be the Democratic viewpoint. That used to be the way Democrats thought. And it's like that on a number of different things throughout, whether it's welfare, whether it's gay union bonding, anything you can put your hat on that has changed from the 60s and reversed itself to be something different nowadays is because of socialism. And that's the encroachment that's been happening upon the Democratic Party. And what's happened to the Democratic Party? The last 3 years, last 3 elections, they've got their ass kicked pretty much in every department but the presidency. And that was only by the skin of the teeth. If some Republicans had not have stayed home during the last election, he probably would not be in there right now. The current president would have only been a one term instead of two. But that's not how it worked out. The other thing that's happened is that there's been a huge defection rate from the Democratic Party, me being one of them. I defected from the Democratic Party. I'm no longer a part of it. And that's because I'm not a socialist. And it seems like the socialist viewpoint is the only way you can be in there. And another way you can think of socialistic viewpoint is politically correct viewpoint. You take that place up in New England somewhere where you can't hug your neighbor's kid on school property. I mean, I'd be there every day doing that, and I'd have every damn family member out there doing it just to tell them to go F off. You got no business telling me I can or cannot hug somebody on school grounds, period. So I would definitely be an agitator up there, but since I don't have kids, it really doesn't apply to me if they should do it here. So I think but the only way that we can really change things is we have to vote the socialists out of the Democratic Party. We need to kick them out. Or in this case, vote them out. It's not hard to do, at least this first round. If you have a senator or a congressman who's running again in the primary season, and they voted for the health care law, he needs to be gone. He needs to be voted out because he's a socialist. If he claims that he's not a socialist, trust me, he's worse than a socialist if that's the case. because that means he didn't have the guts to stand up to him. He rolled over and died and said, "Oh, we'll go ahead and do this health care law." So if he's a socialist, you want to vote him out. If he says he's not a socialist, you want to vote him out because he's worse than a socialist. He's a coward because he didn't stand up to it. I think of the last two holdouts. Neither one of them are in anymore. Both those Democrats are gone. Louisiana definitely took care of that woman. She'll never be a political figure again, at least on a national scale. And that's what we need to do to every single Democrat in office right now. All of them. They all need to go eventually. Next election cycle in 2018, after this current one, the 2016. Once we get through this one, there's going to be another bunch come up. Now, they may be harder to identify, but then all you got to do is listen. Listen to what they say. If they say things like, free education on such and such a level or whatever, socialism. Unless they describe how they're going to pay for it. Now, if they have an actual game plan that says, this is what we want to do and we're going to cut this out in order to pay for this, okay, that's a different issue. You may at least be giving me an idea of something versus just expounding out, hey, let's just spend money nilly-willy. But that's what the Democratic Party is now known as, the party of Santa Claus. The Democratic Party gets no respect anymore, all due to the socialists that are running this party, and we need to kick them out. And let me tell you something, to you socialists in the Democratic Party, form your own party. Get the hell out of mine. I'm going to fight you tooth and nail. In the primary season, I'm going to vote against whoever's running. Whoever's in there right now, I'm voting against them. And in a general election, if she runs, I'm going to take it one step farther. I will vote for the Republican against them if they should make it out of the primary season. They don't deserve my vote. They need to be kicked out. And I don't care whether it's in the primary or the general election. I'm going to do what I can to kick you out. And that's voting against you. You're a worm and you need to be crushed. And I just don't like having people who say they're one thing when they're actually another. Instead of calling themselves socialists, they call themselves Democrats. There's only one socialist out there who I respect, only because he says he's a socialist, and that's that old-haired dude running in the Democratic primary. I don't even know his name. I can't think of it. He's irrelevant to me, so I don't care who he is. But I at least respect him for the fact that he announces he's a socialist. He says it. I'm a socialist, and I believe this. Props to you. And he's not a Democrat. He's actually an independent. I give him props. I won't vote for him, but I give him props. At least he admits what he is. And not trying to throw some shell game onto you. So, join me. Let's kick the Democrats out. Let's stand up as old-time Democrats and kick all these socialists out of our party. Let's get it reformulated. Let's restart it. Let's turn it into something that can be respected again. And if the socialists want to try to take over this country like they're trying to, then come out of the closet, form your own party, and let's see how far you go. I don't think you'll get very far, and that's why you're hiding behind the Democratic skirts. And trust me, you all wear skirts.